Just first of all, away from the game this weekend, it's been quite a week for football in Scotland, with Scotland qualifying for the World Cup. And you yourself, obviously a former Scotland international and former Scotland assistant, I just wondered what you made of all of that and how great you think it is that Scotland have finally qualified for a World Cup after 27 years.
Well, it's amazing. You know, my first real memories of football were the 1982 World Cup. Watching some really terrific players, you know, like the Souness's, the Dalglishes, these types of players. And you know, as an international player, I didn't get the opportunity to play in a major tournament, and it's obviously a regret of mine. But to watch that the other night and the drama unfold was just amazing, and the scenes. I think it tells you all just how important football is to the supporters and the people of our nation, and it was a really, really special night. And I've said before as well, I think this is a great group of players. I think they're a group of players that have come through some difficult periods together, have tasted some form of success, and as a result of that they've grown, and it was a really amazing performance from them.
And you know, you said yourself you didn't get the chance to play in the World Cup, unfortunately, but I mean, what do you think it'll mean to these players to get that chance to do that now?
Well, I think for me, I know you've got the likes of Andy Robertson, these types of players that have experienced winning the Champions League. I think for every player, you know, a real pinnacle must be playing in the World Cup finals. So just an amazing experience for them. And, you know, fingers crossed they do well.
And do you think that sort of feel-good factor that the national team's created could sort of ripple through Scottish football on the domestic side as well?
Well, I hope so. But one of the things we've got to be careful of is that I think it's an incredibly amazing achievement. But I think underneath that, we've got to be careful we don't paper over the cracks, because I do believe that there's a lot of things that need improving within our own game. You know, we haven't got the emergence of a lot of young players at present. There's not a lot of young players playing in our league week to week, and in our lower leagues week to week. So it's a concern, and the development of our young players is a concern at present. So we have to improve on that. But I don't want to talk about that this week, really, because I don't want to take away for the achievements of the national team and Steve Clarke.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, because in the, you know, in terms of developing young players, it's difficult as well for them to make that leap from being, you know, playing in younger levels to then moving into men's football.
Of course, and we look at our own teams in Europe this year. They haven't performed at the level that we hope for Scottish football. So we have to be careful. But as I've said, let's not talk about that too much this week when they've achieved such great things.
And just on your game this weekend, obviously Hibs, and you've had that international break to kind of reset after a disappointing run of games. You know, how have you used that time to prepare for this match?
Like all weeks, we review and we take stock and we try and improve. The players have worked exceptionally hard, as have the staff, to make things better. We're not on a great run at this moment in time. We've lost our last 3 games, but I saw a lot of improvements in the Rangers game. It was probably our best performance for some time in possession. So there was aspects that we'd worked towards in that game. We've just lost some disappointing goals as well of late, and that's been a real disappointing aspect of our play, because I think in general we'd been very competitive and we hadn't been losing those goals. So we've lost some disappointing goals that have made things difficult for us. But I saw improvements, especially with the ball against Rangers. But there's so much more that we have to do better. You know, we have to create more opportunities, we have to score more goals, and we have to defend. It's not a brilliant tonic, and we're aware of that at this moment in time. But we are striving hard to improve. I do see improvement in a lot of individuals, the likes of Tony Egan, his really good performance against Rangers. He's beginning to get to the levels we expect of him, and Murray, Samuels, even the likes of Digby at 30, we're seeing real improvements in him. So we're seeing a lot of good things, but we have to turn that into a real team performance and get the results that we desperately need.
And I suppose it's about trying to find consistency, because you beat Celtic and then you have a run of disappointing games. It's kind of up and down. It must be frustrating for you as a manager to get to that point where you can feel that things are more consistent.
Yeah, listen, I'm not sitting in this seat saying that I've got everything right, far from it, but I'm learning all the time. I'm learning on the job, I'm learning about the players, I'm learning about what's required. After the Celtic performance, we're thinking, okay, we've maybe found some form of solution to really start building the foundations from. And we played with a 3-4-3, but I think that the learning over the last few weeks is that, we want consistency, but we're also within that consistency, we're going to have to be a little bit more flexible with regards to the shape of the team and how we play, depending on the opposition. It's just where we're at. I'd love to be a manager. We had the players here that we could play the same system every week and we know we're going to get results, but it's not been the case. So we need to try and find the solutions, and part of that is going to be flexible within the formation at present.
How's your team news going into the game?
It's good, actually. It's good. Clark Robertson trained today for the first time. Finn Robertson, who had an injury last week, he's returned to full training this week. And today we actually had a full squad training, so that's really encouraging.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just what are you expecting from Hibs on Saturday, and what do you need to do to come away from Easter Road with a positive result?
Well, I think the team hasn't won there in over 20 years, so that's the task. We've had some good results in that time. I think we drew there last year. But I think they've been going about their business quite quietly and effectively. Of course, across the city, that's getting everybody's attention. But, they're a good side. They went to St Mirren in the last game, won 3-0. I think that shows you the level of quality that they have. They're a strong side, a very athletic side. They've been building this team for a number of years and it's progressing well. So it's a really, really difficult game for ourselves, but I think it's a game we should really look forward to. It's a brilliant arena to play in, Easter Road. Great stadium, great pitch. Should be really exciting for our players, and we have to go there and we have to first and foremost make sure we put on the right type of performance.
Obviously, you mentioned it's been a bit of a difficult run previously. How has that affected the players themselves? Have they dipped in confidence, or are they still feeling quite confident in themselves?
I can only go by on training, and the training has been good over the last couple of weeks. I said this, I'm very fortunate. The personality and the character of the group's very good. Of course, there was a disappointment after Rangers, but there was also a sense of that we did a lot of good things. When we reflected on the Rangers game, there was moments we have to do better on, but there's a lot of good things to be taken from the game, and we've tried to take them, build on them, and progress. We just have to, through difficult times, you just have to remain focused, you have to remain resilient, and we have to show grit. I keep talking about grit, and I say it time and time again that my own experience of football, I'm watching even the national team this week. You don't get anywhere without a struggle, without a bit of disappointment. You have to do that, and we have to show the right character to get through this period. I believe we can, or I wouldn't sit here. I do genuinely believe we can come through this.
Obviously, you spoke a bit about the national team and World Cup qualification at the start, and given goalkeeper's been a bit of a problem position for the national team for a little while. John McCracken here's been in one of the recent squads. How much of a gauntlet is laid down for him now to try and see if he can stake a claim and get back into that squad ahead of the World Cup?
Well, listen, I said on John that I think it's too early for him, but if he has a full good season of football, then there's no reason why he wouldn't be a consideration next summer. But we've still a long way to go on that, and John's still to prove that he can show that consistency. I thought he was excellent against Rangers, so he's making strides in the right direction. But hopefully, at the end of the season, if he still keeps improving, then maybe he'll see some form of reward.
Well, first of all, just there's been obviously the international break. So, how have you sort of used that time to kind of reset and get yourselves ready for getting back to action this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's a really good time for us, the international break, because it allows us to sort of take from last game what we did well, what we need to get better at, and it gives you sort of like a 2-week period where you have more time to sort of dust those things down and make sure that coming into this weekend we're in a good space, and we've all trained really well. It's been a tough week this week, but we're raring to go on Saturday.
It's obviously been a difficult spell for you, given the 3 defeats in a row. But how confident are you that you can kind of put that behind you and move up the table?
Yeah, there's a real confidence in the group. I think week by week we're believing more in each other. We're getting to the point now where we've really gelled as a group, and we need to start taking more belief in our performances and go and take games to teams more, which is something that we want to do. And there's a real belief that we'll start picking up wins as soon as possible.
I think it's 9 goals that you've conceded in the last 3 games. That'll be something that you're hoping to eradicate this weekend, and you yourself, at the other end, hoping to get on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, we don't want to be conceding goals, and we want to score more. That's the thing in football, obviously. So we've done a lot of work defensively on how we're going to stop teams doing that, but also we've taken a real focus on how we're going to attack Hibernian and going forward other teams in the league, because we've got the players to do it, and it's just about getting it right on the day. But we're really confident in each other. We've got a really good group, so it's just about taking that into a Saturday now and stopping those goals going in and scoring more at the other end.
And you have shown already this season. Obviously, Hibs are doing well, but you have shown, against top opposition such as Celtic, you can get the better of them.
Yeah, I think that shows we can beat anyone in this league. Celtic are obviously a very good football team, and I think on the day we deserved that win. It was a really good performance, and the manager says that's how we need to be performing every week, because we've showed that level, and that should be the standard that we perform to every week now. So I think that's a game we can take real confidence from, that we can beat anyone in this league, and we just have to get that consistency going every Saturday now.
And you yourself, you'd have wanted more, wins on the board and that sort of thing, but how much are you enjoying your time here at Dundee?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Settled in really well with the group. It's a great group of lads. And I've had to adapt to a new position that I've never played before. That's where I'm playing. So sort of getting used to that position and knowing what's expected of me there. That's been a challenge, but I think something I've got better at in terms of understanding what's needed of me. But yeah, I'm enjoying it up here, and just we have to keep moving forward now.
Do you feel you can go from strength to strength from here in that position, given that you're not as familiar with it?
Yeah, I think if that's what's expected of me, I have to get better at that. If that's where I'm being played and the manager's trusting me there, I have to put in performances there that are worthy of keeping the shirt. So obviously it's not my usual position. I'm a 9. That's where I've always played. So it's not as natural to me, but it is what it is. I have to take that position in my stride and do it as best as I can for the team and myself in that position.
Thank you.
Just following on from that, I suppose, is that something you think, adapting to a new position can actually just enhance your overall game and, that versatility, but then, if you go back to playing 9, you take from, what you've taken from the other position as well?
Yeah, I think it's always beneficial playing other positions, of course, but, it's, as I said, it's not my natural position, so it's been a lot of learning on the job in a sense, but I think, yeah, taking it, if I was to go back to 9, I think knowing what's wanted from a wide player to play in that position, different little runs and stuff. But yeah, playing there's been good. It's been I've been in the team and I've got a lot of minutes. So yeah, whatever's expected of me there, I'm happy to do.
It's been a particularly crazy season in Scottish football so far. Just what have you made of the league and the quality of the opposition?
I think, as we just said, it's so weird, because one week you're beating Celtic and then the next week you're not getting a good result. So I think it just shows if a bit of consistency in this league can be really important, and that's something we haven't quite got yet in our results, but something that we believe that we will start getting, because we're working hard, we're doing everything right, and we just need to get those results consistently.
And just what are you expecting from Hibs on Saturday? What do you need to do to come away from Easter Road with a positive result?
I think they're obviously a very good footballing side. They go forward really well, but they also have weaknesses that we've looked at this week, and we know how we're going to try and exploit those weaknesses. So, we have full belief that we can go there, and if we put on a good performance, we believe we can come away there with 3 points.